Welcome back to Winners and Losers 1 and all. It's the start of a new season, baby, and we're on a new set. Well, kind of. The 12th man obviously previewed it. But look at that. I've even changed out the Winners and Losers. Features a $sign because we're earning that much, so why not? Hamill's in the chair with me today because they are new chairs as well.
Oh, mate, they're comfortable. Woo! I feel classy in them. I feel like I should be in a smoking jacket. I'm like Hugh Hefner right now, but not as creepy.
Yes.
What are we starting with?
We're starting with a talking point, and it's Liverpool, baby. Let's do this.
Yeah, Liverpool registered their 500th Premier League win against West Ham on Sunday, thumping Manuel Pellegrini's new-look side 4-0 at home. They've now scored 30 and only conceded 3 in their last 10 games at Anfield. Last conceded, Joe, back in Feb.
Vile.
Tight at the back.
Vile.
They've also now scored 4 in their last 4 against West Ham, so the Hammers are the perpetual whipping boys of the Liverbirds. But a tough opening fixture for this new-look West Ham. What did you make of West Ham's efforts?
West Ham were okay. I think it's probably, other than City, the hardest game you're possibly going to play. So almost write this off if you're Pellegrini, because you're not playing City next week. You've got Bournemouth, a chance to bounce back there.
Yeah, betting in a few new signings as well. Felipe Anderson looked okay down the left. Didn't know Jack Wilshere was playing until the second half when he got hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
Him and Mark Noble, the double Brexit nutter. Mo Salah opened proceedings with a tap-in and now has 29 goals in his last 29 Premier League appearances. So I don't think he's going to be a one-season wonder, do you, at this point in time? Will he be top goal scorer yet again, though, Joseph? Now defenders maybe will adjust their game to cater for him. It's him or Harry Kane for me, and we're going to stick it in a poll just to but what do you think?
I think it's going to be Sergio Aguero. I think Sergio Aguero is going to be in for a mean season. Just something about him in the Community Shield final for me looked like he was extremely sharp. It was like 2013 Aguero vibes going on in the Community Shield final. And I know yesterday, maybe not at his best against Arsenal, but gets into such good goal-scoring areas, man.
Maybe, but I think there might be an element of rotation in Manchester City. Gabriel Jesus
Hopefully,
will want
in the draft. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Sadio Mane also hit a brace in this game. The third time he's netted for Liverpool in match day 1. The first player since John Barnes to do so in the early 90s. Now, can he sustain this form and top his Premier League best of 13 goals? I reckon if he avoids kung fu kicking goalkeepers in the head, I think he only started around 26 games last season due to injuries and suspensions, then he will.
Yeah,
he looked frightening down that left-hand side.
Yeah, I kind of said going into the season, I think maybe Mo Salah's total will drop from obviously 40 to around the sort of 20 to 25 goal a season mark. And in turn, that will allow Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino to score more because people will focus their efforts more on Mo Salah, leaving that extra couple of yards for Sadio Mane.
Okay, an interesting take. Also, can you see the Sunday vibes on these glasses? Attention to detail. And on that note, let's go over to Jurgen Klopp to see what he makes of Liverpool's title chances.
So the only thing what is important is that we know exactly what we want to be, and we want to be a challenger. How could we be something different? We didn't win anything in the last few years. That's absolutely the truth. So, and the other teams, I can see that they got weaker, and so why should we only be because we had a few signings? That's only English thing. Do you think you can win the league on the transfer window? It's not possible. It's not interesting. We did our business. Other teams did the business last year, 2 years ago, whatever. When to strengthen their squad, we did it this year, and because we thought it's the right moment to do so. That's all. But we enjoy our role, and all the rest is not important to us.
Liverpool obviously betting in a few new faces as well. I was massively impressed by Naby Keita. Hit the ground running, didn't he, on his Premier League debut. For me, probably the signing of the summer, although it was a delayed move, or at least one of the signings of the summer. His flexibility is going to be so crucial to Liverpool in that midfield three. I can't wait to see when Fabinho comes into the side as well, when it just frees them up a little bit more. Although I have to say, I thought Jimmy Milner was exceptional yesterday. The guy was absolutely
all that
everywhere.
New talent and El Jimbo still running things in midfield.
Yeah, and Virgil as well at the back. Big shout out to Virgil van Dijk. I think since he joined the league, no defender has kept more clean sheets than him. What a player he is. I think Carragher said after, or maybe Redknapp said on Sky Sports, that he might be the best centre-back in the world. Don't quite agree with that, but he's definitely threatening the best centre-backs in the league, alongside the likes of Alderweireld, although I have to say Man City on the weekend, we're going to talk about their defence later, but their two starting centre-backs absolutely stunk the place out. Unbelievable performance.
In a positive sense.
Yes.
Virgil van Dijk, yeah, I think he makes up for the deficiencies of having a weaker partner next to him. As much as I like Joe Gomez and as much as I like Lovren, they have very good qualities. Like Lovren absolutely eats up crosses, doesn't he? Gomez, very athletic, got that good turn of pace, and actually fared very well against West Ham, but they do have flaws to their game. I think Joe Gomez was caught out again against West Ham with that sort of crossfield ball, which happened to him last season when he was playing at right back. But Virgil van Dijk is so good that, like I said, he does make up for his the weaknesses of his centre-back partner. And I think in this game he had a 98% pass success rate.
That's vile.
He's calmness personified, isn't he? Liverpool just have a scary squad in terms of depth, don't they, after this summer? Some of the players they could bring in are weaker, but useful when competing on all fronts.
Yeah, definitely.
Lallana, Origi.
Yeah, man. Daniel Sturridge. I think Sturridge could have a really good season as long as he stays fit, which would be a little bit of a worry for me. One area potentially a little bit weaker is centre-half. I know they've got Matip and obviously you talked about Gomez, and I think they've still got Klavan as well. But I do think if Van Dijk was to pick up a knock, it's a big hole to fill. So a little bit worried about the depth at centre-half Liverpool have got, but elsewhere, what a squad.
Yeah, even at fullback, they've got Nathaniel Klein, they've got Alberto Moreno, we didn't mention Dominic Solanke up front. So a lot of options for Jurgen Klopp to pick from, to rotate with. But what do you guys at home think? Will they stop Manchester City? Let us know in the comments below. And what did the guys at the Sky Sports Take Your Seat event think on the South Bank? We're going over to them now. Vox Pops, baby.
With the Premier League having just started, we've come to Sky Sports Take Your Seat event here in London's South Bank to get some predictions of the season ahead. Right, so what are your predictions for the season? Who is going to win the league?
Got to be Man City, I think. Got to be Man City.
Of course, Liverpool.
It breaks my heart, but I think Man City might take it.
For me, yeah, I'll go with Man City this year. I think Liverpool run them close, but I think Man City will win the league for me.
Pains me to say, but it's probably going to be Manchester City again, I think. Yeah, I think they're too strong.
Now, my heart obviously lies with Chelsea, so I've got to say Chelsea will win it.
I'd love to say anyone other than Man City, but I have to go with Man City.
The gap's too big, isn't it? 19-point gap. Gap's too big, so...
I think I'm going to have to go with Manchester City to win it again, but not by 100 points this time.
I can't really see them slipping up enough to let Liverpool win, although I think Liverpool will give them a challenge.
Liverpool.
Liverpool, Man City. Liverpool, Man City.
The German coach, Klopp, he's the best one.
Liverpool done well with the recruiting and whatnot, but it's not enough.
I'm going to say Liverpool second, and they're only going to lose out on top spot by like 6 points. And that'll be the two games when they play City and City beats them.
That is precise.
I think City are just they're just too good, they can't be matched.
Is that your top four prediction then? City, Liverpool.
United, Chelsea.
So I'm going to go City first, Arsenal second, Liverpool third, and Spurs fourth.
I'm going to say the top four is going to be Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool. Not Arsenal, I'm going to say Chelsea.
I think Chelsea might get in there this time, and I think United are just about going to scrape it as well. So I think, yeah, Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool for the Champions League. North London is not going to be a happy place.
I think, yeah, Chelsea will be up there. I think Liverpool, City, and maybe Tottenham.
So me, I'd probably say City will win it. Liverpool will come second. I think this will be the last year that them and they're down the road will finish above us.
Because I can't see Arsenal getting above United.
Fourth, I'm going to go with Spurs.
And we've addressed areas that that's needed addressed for years. Like we needed a centre back, we got that. We needed a right back, got that. Needed a DM, got that. Needed a goalie, got that. We got Guendouzi, who looks like a hot talent, looks like a hot prospect. So me, I'd probably say City will win it.
I know you want me to say Arsenal, don't you?
I do.
Okay, Arsenal.
Would you put Arsenal in there?
I'd put Arsenal in there. We've got a new manager. Aubameyang will be better this year. Aubameyang blood clot, young.
I'm hoping Arsenal are going to finish second. But I think...
Really? That's quite bold.
I know everyone keeps saying that, but we've made some decent signings, we've got a new manager, things are on the up.
Yeah, we're starting with the young Brazilian Richarlison. Obviously, he bagged a brace in a 2-2 draw with Wolves at Molineux. Probably the game of the day. Marco Silva will actually probably be a little bit disappointed with this one. Phil Jagielka obviously getting sent off just before half-time and putting the end to what would not definitely been a win, but a better result for Everton with a definite red card tackle for me. I think he's out of control, he's lunging, he's reckless.
Oh, Philip.
And I think that's probably putting an end to his regular starting spot at Everton, especially with the signing of Kurt Zouma and particularly Yerry Mina. Michael Keane is obviously the first central defensive name on that team sheet. I don't see Phil Jagielka getting back into the side. A quick shout out as well to Ruben Neves. What a beautiful free kick.
Pingzilla.
Absolute top bins. He's now scored more goals from outside of the box in the last 2 seasons than any player in England's top 4 leagues. He's got 7 from outside the box. On paper, this was a great game, but when you actually drill down into the statistics a little bit more, the quality in the area wasn't that great. I looked at the XG this morning, 0.8 to 0.7. Everton fortunate that they had the outstanding goal scorer on the day, really.
Yeah, and that was of course Richarlison, like you mentioned, who was making his Everton debut after that £50 million move from Watford. The 21-year-old scored with his first 2 shots in an Everton top, despite not scoring with his previous 53 for Watford.
That's insane.
But clearly Marco Silva doesn't just judge him by the goals he scored, and he said as much after the game. He said, "I don't worry about just his goals. His off-the-ball work is unbelievable and his pressing is tenacious." Really entrusted to put in the hard yards across that front line. And it really showed on the day too in his stats. 4 duels won, 3 tackles made, 2 interceptions and 3 fouls to run.
Class.
And they lacked that mobility in parts last season, didn't they, Everton? Particularly in the first half of the season before they got Theo Walcott in. But now they're looking dangerous down both wings. And it's clear that Silva gets the best out of him. He knows where to put him on the pitch in order to facilitate his very unique skill set. Now, under Silva, he got 9 goals and assists in 2,000 Premier League minutes last season. Without Silva, 0 goals and assists in 1,300 Premier League minutes. And a lot of that has to do with Watford's terrible second half to the season and Silva's head being turned by Everton. But I think he's going to be really good in Everton's shirt this season. And maybe one of the youngsters to watch out for an outside shout for PFA Young Player of the Year already after match day 1.
That's crazy. That's
what do you guys think to Richarlison's virtuoso performance? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move on to our first loser.
Our first losers, Arsenal. A little bit harsh because obviously they're playing an outstanding Manchester City side, but not overly impressed by Unai Emery's boys. Yesterday, obviously, they lost 2-0 at the Emirates. My biggest problem with this Unai Emery side is that if he wants to play out from the back, which he clearly does based on yesterday's performance, his summer recruitment was poor. Socrates, I did not think was great on the ball. Not the biggest fan of Mustafa on the ball. Even Bellerin, when he dropped into that deep right-back position to pick up the ball from Petr Cech, looked a bit gammy on it. Petr Cech in goal was a shambles on the ball. Obviously, Bernd Leno is going to play and probably be the starting goalkeeper. He joined for £19 million in the summer, didn't he? But he was sat on the bench yesterday. And the veteran keeper, he was a mess, Petr Cech, yesterday on the ball. Every time the ball came to his feet, he looked a panicker. But he did make 6 saves, one of them particularly good one-on-one with Sergio Aguero, wasn't he? A few other problem areas. Granit Xhaka, what does he add to the team? I know Lucas Torreira came on in the second half for him, but what on earth does Granit Xhaka add to that team? I thought Guendouzi grew into the game. I think he had the most touches, the most passes of any Arsenal player, but Granit Xhaka offers nothing. Socrates is a panicker on the ball. Cech was a disaster. For me, this squad is all over the place at Arsenal. I like the front line, particularly when Lacazette came on and offered more support to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang out front, and Ozil was dropped in behind. But Mkhitaryan was useless in transition. Granit Xhaka was terrible on the ball. The 2 centre-halves were panic stations, and Petr Cech was a disaster. Not a good performance from Arsenal.
Saying that, I do think there are elements to be positive about. I think Lacazette and Aubameyang need to play together. They clearly have a very good understanding of where one another kind of is on the pitch. They were swapping out pretty judiciously, weren't they, on that left-hand side? And Lacazette actually surprised me how effective he was at dropping deep. And some of his link-up play was very, very good. A little bit Bobby Firmino-esque. That ball for Lichtsteiner, although Lichtsteiner was offside down the left-hand side, almost to put him in, was delightful.
Yeah,
a little dink through 2 players. So
there were some
a promising
positives.
aspect there, yeah.
There were some positives, including Guendouzi.
Yeah, and I think their flaws are very obvious, like you said. Areas that need upgrading, check. Mkhitaryan. I like Mkhitaryan, but unless he's playing in the middle and he's feeding balls, unless he has multiple options in front of him, he's so immobile.
Oh my God.
He needs 3 or 4 touches, it would seem. Maybe his confidence is still low, but like you said, his build-up play is very, very laboured. Guendouzi, I liked. Always offered for the ball. He was given a few hospital passes from Czech. Granit Xhaka, the fact that he was hauled off before a 19-year-old, just turned 19 by the way, should probably put his future in a little bit of doubt. But let's move on to Manchester City anyway, because Pep Guardiola's win means that he remains unbeaten against Emery in all competitions, and City are unbeaten in their last 10 Premier League games. The citizens go marching on, don't they? And they pretty much outclass the Gunners in every single area. Sterling bagged the first goal. That was his 50th Premier League goal in total. I think it's around 130 appearances, so a great return from him. And amazingly, his strike against Arsenal was only his 3rd from outside the box. Not really known for his finishing.
Good, great strike though, great finish.
But is becoming well known for his ability to crop up in fantastic areas.
Yes.
I think Chet was a little bit...
He was unsighted.
He was wrong-footed because Socrates...
Yeah, he used Socrates as a shield.
Was stood in front of him, yes. Not hard to do either, because Socrates is slow. It's like
and
he's
immobile
running through
and
treacle.
useless.
I mean, I thought he was okay in patches. But yes, the Englishman has now been involved in 12 goals in his last 12 Premier League games. That's 5 goals and 7 assists. And looks a completely different player. I think a little bit underappreciated in England's setup, but looks a lot freer, doesn't he, in that Manchester City
more relaxed
setup. And he was giving it that to the Arsenal fans, wasn't he? Because he was getting a bit of grief from them beforehand about his lack of goals at the World Cup. Bernardo Silva, who Patrick Van Straaten still doesn't rate despite a fantastic return, despite just turning 24, netted the second. He now has 5 in his last 7 league games after failing to score in his first 9. So he's settled in, and I think the highest compliment you can pay to Bernardo Silva is that you didn't really notice David Silva's absence.
Yeah, I mean, the finish is unbelievable as well.
And he was kind of dipping in and out of game at that point, but I think Gundogan started well. Gundogan's brilliant at winning the ball in the final third, but yeah, he was kind of the calmness on the ball, wasn't he? Benjamin Mendy, Joe, what did you think to him? Returning for the first time since September. I wasn't convinced about his defensive performance, but going forward looked promising.
Yeah, so Benjamin Mendy, I think he's a little bit rusty. Obviously hasn't played a massive amount of football, and I'm sure come the end of the season we're going to say he's one of the outstanding left backs in the Premier League. But for me, obviously trying to play a little bit in the same way as Fabian Delphin, dropping into midfield at times, pushing quite centrally, and when the ball was fired into him, I thought his touch was a little bit lacking. He's a little bit laboured in possession, but that's probably down to rust. I think when we're around Christmas, we're going to be seeing marauding Benjamin Mendy running at right backs and terrifying them, because when he gets going, he is unstoppable.
He also looks massive. I feel like his size makes him look cumbersome when he's not.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe he could do shedding a few, bit of muscle,
but
make him a little bit more aerodynamic.
Great cutback though for the Bernardo Silva goal. He could have just smashed that across the face, and I thought he picked his man out pretty much perfectly for that.
Bernardo Silva, I don't know, I just think it was a brilliant finish.
I don't know, man.
Kind of think it P-rolls across
the ball back to
Bernardo
Silva on the penalty spot. It's not bad.
But yeah, like his ability to change gear and go past an Benjamin Mendy is impressive. He's frightening when he's in full swing. But Bellerin did send him for a hot dog, didn't he? In the second half.
He did it. No, I think it was in the first.
Fully
actually.
committed.
But yeah, he did overly committed. It was not a great bit of defending.
But like you said, he ended up with both assists, so fantastic going forward. Only made 1 interception and 1 clearance though. Third the output of Kyle Walker, so can clearly improve in that area, and clearly will under Guardiola, won't they? The scary thing is for everyone chasing this Manchester City side, KDB, Sane and Jesus all started on the bench. So their squad is just looking fantastic despite not adding in that central midfield area.
Yeah, man. And I just want to give a quick shout out to John Stones and Aymeric Laporte, who were unbelievable on the day. The calmest pair of centre-backs in the entire league. Aymeric Laporte, his long ball distribution was phenomenal. The amount of times you saw Ederson, who actually wasn't great on the day, by the way, put him in a sticky situation. Laporte was calmness personified, 60-yard crossfield ball, started a counter-attack for Man City. John Stones, the exact same, calmness personified, gives it to Walker. Walker transitions into Bernardo Silva, and then it's suddenly 4-on-4.
Yeah, the way they were hitting the ball at each other at pace is just beautiful to watch. And Ederson, I mean, we talk about check distribution. There was one absolute ping though, down the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, there was.
It was dreamy. But apart from that, yeah, he could have given away a couple of goals, couldn't he, if Ozil was touched, didn't escape him. But Manchester City still the team to beat, guys. Arsenal, though, much more interesting question. How do you think they're going to fare? Will Unai Emery, will they catch up with his philosophy quickly, or will it see them, you know, fall a little bit further behind 4th spot? I think by the looks of pre-season and the first game, Chelsea are probably a little bit further ahead and will probably beat them next week. Predictions?
Yeah, I think Chelsea looked good against Huddersfield. We're going to talk about them in a minute, so let's move on.
I think Arsenal fans probably take 5th or 6th spot at this point.
Yeah. Like I said then, our second winner, Chelsea, obviously Maurizio Sarri getting off to a dream start, romping a pretty poor Huddersfield, I have to say. 3-0 away from home, goals from Kante, Jorginho and Pedro, meaning they still haven't lost on the opening day of a season for 30 years, going all the way back to a 2-1 loss against Coventry. Sarri opted for that 4-3-3. It was a really nice setup. I really liked how Jorginho and Kante played together, giving Ross Barkley a little bit of freedom. Ross Barkley's flick around the edge of the box, I think it was for the second. The Jorginho penalty was absolutely beautiful. Obviously, Kante's goal, kind of a scuffer, a little bit lucky, bounced it into the ground, but the Jorginho penalty, we have to talk about it. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? He did it in pre-season.
Cheeky monkey.
It's really cheeky. One thing I will say, though, if you're Alvaro Morata and you're low on confidence, rip the ball out of Jorginho's hand. Say, I'm having this penalty. I know he missed one in pre-season. I'm having this penalty. I want to get off the mark with a goal. I'm scoring.
I don't think Morata has that nasty streak though. He's not a ripper out of Hansa, is it?
He has to be. He needs to start being a ripper out of Hansa, because that's the way you get your confidence going. I was a little bit disappointed he didn't do that. Obviously, the third goal as well, Pedro's lovely move, wasn't it? Eden Hazard, when he came on, looked like he was still at that World Cup best, drifting past players like weren't there. Pedro, a beautiful finish. I'm expecting big things from Pedro this season. I think he might chip in with 10+ goals.
Yeah, we thought he'd do well in the Sarri system, didn't we? Because Sarri needs that player down the right-hand side to have a lot of guile, to move across the front line, to drag players out of position so that his number 9 or whoever's point man has space or can play a little bit closer to the left winger. I think Pedro's that guy. He's very flexible, very smart.
Definitely, couldn't agree more. Fully deserved win as well. Huddersfield didn't really get out the gates. I think Chelsea had 63% possession. They had 13 shots, 4 on target. Huddersfield really struggled, but Sarri, that's an exciting start if you're a Chelsea fan. Yeah. I can't wait to see some of the football he has that side playing, particularly when Mateo Kovacic comes back into the side. Hopefully Morata finds some form and Eden Hazard starts, because it's going to be frightening.
And I think we'll actually see Kante chip in with a few more goals. He's not the best finisher, but in the games I've watched and pre-season, Jorginho is just imploring him up the pitch.
It's mad.
And if Jorginho is telling you to go into space, you better go, because he will find you. One of the best passes in the business. Let's touch upon Huddersfield briefly then, because this continues a worrying run of form at home for Wagner's men. Only picks up 9 points out of their last possible 36 at the Kirklees Stadium, winning 2, drawing 3, losing 7. Now that needs to drastically improve, because the teams that have come up, like Fulham, like Wolves, have spent a lot of money and they've caught up, they've made ground on Huddersfield pretty quickly, haven't they? A couple of his players played okay on the day. Props goes to Academy graduate Philip Billing at centre mid, completed 89% of his passes, made 6 tackles as well and 2 interceptions, and hit 2 shots. And hit the post as well. So a promising performance from him. And big Steve Mounier put in a shift, as he always does, won 11 aerial duels over the course of the 90. Kind of gives us some indication as to Huddersfield's plan A. But in truth, Joe, Terrier's season won't really be defined by games like this, but we wanted to see a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And one just quick point on Steve Mounier before we move on to our final losers. I thought his chance in about the 30th minute at 1-0, header 6 yards out, has to score. And last season, I saw him do that 4 or 5 times. And if he doesn't hit the back of the net and start hitting the back of the net soon, Huddersfield are going to go down. I know we're only 1 game in, but they were my pick to go down alongside Cardiff this season. And they just don't have a consistent goal scorer. Steve Mounier started the season so well last season, and he was dog shit towards the back end of it. And they brought no one in because they were putting all their eggs in Steve Mounier's basket. And Steve Mounier is not good enough to keep them up. That's the point I want to make.
On that bombshell, It doesn't really get any easier for Huddersfield either. Etihad on Sunday.
Oh,
so
God.
grim
that could be
start.
9-0.
Let's move on.
That could be 9. Our final losers of the day, a little bit of a harsh one. This was written by Doogie, who's a Sunderland fan, so prepare yourself, Newcastle, because you are in here. Obviously beaten 2-1 at St James's Park by Spurs. Jan Vertonghen got the game off early doors, didn't he? It went to goal line technology on the watch, but it was given by about half a millimetre. It was mental, it was so close. Obviously then Hosslu scored, and then Dele Alli got the winner from a beautiful Serge Aurier ball, by the way, and a great header by Dele Alli. Magpies fans pre-kickoff as well. Lots of protests, obviously, against Mike Ashley's perceived lack of ambition. He only spent £20 million in the summer. The players are also protesting behind the scenes. A lot of them unhappy about the apparent bonuses, because last season they were paid out £11 million in bonuses, £4 million basic, and then a position up the league get you another £1 million. This season Mike Ashley has scrapped that, and he scrapped cut bonuses, so Jamal Lascelles is leading a kind of protest against the owner. Not happy times at St James's Park whatsoever. They did have a few good chances though. Kennedy had a wicked chance at the back post. The whole Tottenham defence got drawn across. I don't know where Serge Aurier was, for God's sake. He had about 40 yards of room, Kennedy, a great ball into him, and his first touch was dogged. It was about 20 yards ahead of him. Hugo Lloris came out, scooped it up. Such a good chance to make it 2-0. It continues Newcastle's poor form on opening day. They've lost 5 of their last 6 opening league games. A couple of shout-outs, one to Diame, 4 aerial duels, 4 tackles and interceptions, 1 hit the post. But overall, tumultuous times at Newcastle. Rafa Benitez, I'm still surprised he's there. I think he's only there because he won't get a payout if he leaves, effectively. That's my opinion.
They, without Rafa, are going to be a total
I couldn't agree more.
And they should be on their hands and knees facilitating his every want and need.
I know.
But alas, they're not. Let's have a look at Spurs then, because they named a very strong lineup, didn't they? Lloris, Vertonghen, Dyer, Eriksen, Ali, Kane all played post-World Cup. Absolutely unforgivable playing Kane. He looked at 30%. He only had 2 shots, I believe, on the day. He averages 5 normally in the Premier League game. Only 1 was on target. That gives you some indication as to how his legs are faring after the World Cup. He didn't look fit from the round of 16
He's got
onwards.
stumps. He's got stumps for legs now.
So he actually needs a bit of a rest, doesn't he? Quite clearly. And now the whole boring Kane not scoring in August narrative rolls on, doesn't it? It's now stretched to 988 minutes. That's 14 games and 46 shots. And yeah, he didn't look like scoring at any point throughout this game.
I cannot believe he started when Son is about to get a 6-week rest because he goes to the Asian Games.
Well, he doesn't get a 6-week rest because apparently if he doesn't win the Asian Games, then he's got to do military service. This is the most stressful 6-week period of Son's life. Literally, his career's on the line. Apparently, his career is on the line. So, whatever. Some notable landmarks in this game because we had to pad out this script. Vertonghen scored his first Premier League game since March 2013. That was 161 games ago, so I'm sure he was thankful for that technology. Dele Alli continued his trend of never losing in a game in which he's scored. That's 33 games.
That's crazy.
27 won, 6 drawn. Only Milner and Darius Vassell,
Davey,
the one and only, have scored more without tasting defeat. I remember when Darius Vassell signed for a club in Turkey and 8,000 people greeted him at the airport.
Didn't know who he was, probably. They probably didn't know who he was.
Well, don't dig out Darius. Anyway, he's a phenomenon, isn't he? Dele Alli,
yeah,
quite frankly, at this age, an absolute freak. 64 Premier League goal involvements, and he's just 22. That compares very favourably to Lampard's 33, Scholes is 18, and Gerrard's 13 at the same age. That is mad, sickening. Boo. But man of the match was Vertonghen, 88% pass accuracy, 4 aerial duels, 1, 4 tackles, and 3 interceptions to boot, and 1 goal, like I said. Shout out to Serge Aurier, 3 aerial duels, 1, 3 tackles, interceptions, 1 shot, and 1 assist.
And one invisibility cloak donned for when they went in and Kennedy nearly scored.
Full room of requirement for that one. Next up, Newcastle travel to Cardiff, so a little bit easier for them there. And Spurs host Fulham on Saturday. Their last home game at Wembley before they move.
Not the easiest game, that. I was actually quite impressed by Fulham, but I think we're going to talk about them on Euro Roundup, aren't we? So
yeah, you know, that famous European club?
Well, not many other European fixtures
Fulham.
to talk about, so we've had to pad it out, haven't we?
So, Cardiff were on there this morning before I absolutely decimated that script.
Up the cottages. So that's it for winners and losers for this week. Obviously, let us know what you thought of the new set. Hamster, what else is happening on Football Daily and Euro Football Daily?
I've not been here for a week, so I'm a little bit out of it. So probably Stat Wars The Champions happened at the weekend.
The 12th man,
McCubbin
mate.
Versus Dave. 12th man on the same set, but not in the same chairs.
Or with the same words, because...
What's your favourite prop? Let us know.
That's
in
a
the
signed
comments below.
Ronaldinho boot, by the way, and a signed Jeff Hurst ball. So
Vintage.
I think mine's the trophies. But
Yeah, we didn't spend our money wisely. Had it for a second. Gone.